Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue here in beautiful downtown Montgomery, Alabama. It's not quite downtown. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. Welcome to our Kabbalat Shabbat service. Before we get started, I want to point out Mazel Tov to David and Tina on becoming new grandparents. Their daughter Zoe gave birth on my birthday. What a great birthday present to a beautiful little girl. And we will be doing we're going to have a baby naming in Birmingham in June. So I'm just so excited for Zoe, for David and Tina, and yeah, it's put a smile on my face most of the week, and I needed it. So with that, we'll go ahead and begin our service. We are praying out of Siddur Lev Shalem, and we begin on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech Malchei Amlachim Kadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue, page 11, Psalm 95. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. Nariya, Nariya, Letzor Yishenu, Nekadma Fana Betoda. Nariya, Nariya, Letzor Yishenu, Bizmirot Nariya Lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena ladonai. Nariya, Nariya, Letzor Yishenu, Nekadma Fana Betoda. Nariya, Nariya, Letzor Yishenu, Bizmirot Nariya Lo. Join me in the English. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Meribah, like the time at Massah, in the desert when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way, so in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. Arba'im shana kut bedor va'omar am to'eh levavem v'hem lo yad rachai asher nishbati v'yapi im yavon hil menuchati. Page 13, Psalm 96. Shiru ladonai shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz, shiru ladonai baruchu shemo, basru meyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'agoyim kivodo, bechol ha'amim nifliotav, ki gadol Adonai. O mehulal miyod no ra'u Alko Elohim laila Kiko Elohe Amim Elilim V'Adonai Shamayim Asa Hod V'Hadar Lefanav Oz V'Tiferet B'Mikdasho Havul Adonai Mishpachot Amim Havul Adonai Kavod Vos Havul Adonai Kevod Shemo Seu Mincha Uvahol Chadzrod of Laila Shtachavu Ladonai Berad Kat Kodesh Chilum Mipanav Kol Haaretz Imru Vagoyim Adonai Malach Aftikum Tevel Balatimot Yadin Hamim B'Meisharim Yismechu Hashamayim V'Tagil Haaretz Ayiram Mayamu Melo Yahlo Sadai V'chol asher bo lai Aziranenu kol hatziyar Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel b'tzedek v'yamim b'emunato Yalai la lai la ya la 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 lai ya lai 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 la lai la lai la lai ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai lai lai. Page 15, Psalm 97. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine, righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land. The earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the Master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. Worshippers of idols be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The cities of Judah exult as you, Adonai, pass judgment. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Or zaru la tzadik ul Yisrael simcha, simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hoduhu lezecher kadesho. Page 17, Psalm 98. Mizmor shiru ladonai shir chadash, ki neflat asa Hoshia lo yemino uzaro akod shoadia Adonai Yeshuato le'ena goyim gilad sid kato Zachar chasta ve'emunato leveit Yisrael Ra'u cholav se'aret et Yeshuat Eloheinu Horiu ladunai kol haaretz Pitzchum ve'ranenu v'zameru Zamru ladunai bechinar ve'kol zimera Mechatzot rod ve'kol shofar Horiu lifnei HaMelech Adonai Yiramayam u'maloho Tevel ve'yoshveva Neharot yimchau chaf Yachad arim niranenu Lifnei Adonai kiva Lishbot haaretz Yishbot tevel betzedek Ve'yamim b'meisharim Yalai, yalai, la 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 Yalai, la 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 Yalai, la 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 Yalai, la 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 Yalai, la 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 Yalai, la 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 Yai lai 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 lai. We continue on page 19 with Psalm 99, Adonai reigns, nations tremble, the one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, all-inspiring Holy One. A sovereign's strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God, the Holy One. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name, called to you, and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You are a forgiving God to them, even as you punish them for their transgressions. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kadisho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We rise, if you are able, page 21, Psalm 29. Mizmor leDavid, havu ladonai b'nei Elim, havu ladonai kavod vos, havu ladonai kavod shemo, ishtachavu ladonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim Adonai omayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai be'adar, kol Adonai shover arazim, v'yishaber Adonai et alzei halvanon, v'yarkidem kemo egel, Lebanon v'Sirion kemo vendrehemim, kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yecholel ayalo, vayechesop nyarod, uveichalo kulo omer kavod, Adonai lamabul yashav, yeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'sholom. You may be seated. We continue page 23 with Lechadodi. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabila, Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabila, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu elam yuchad, Adonai echad, ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה לך, דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקורה ברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך, דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בימך בכה, והוא יחמו עלייך חמלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, היד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי אורי קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך לגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לא תבושי ולא תקמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בך, יחסו אני ימי ונבנתה עיר, אל תילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, והיו למשיסה שהו עשייך ורחקו כה מהבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי עמך חתן על כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי, היד איש בן פרטי ונשמחה ונגילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise as we recite the last stanza of Lachadodi, page 25, and we face towards the west to greet the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzalotoch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabila. You may be seated. We continue page 27 with Psalm 92. A psalm, the song of the day of Shabbat. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand. The fools does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Tzadik tamar yifrach ki erez balvanan yiske shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim yeyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Page 29, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you are enthroned, you are eternal. The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean. Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining me, joining us, our community, for the beginning of Shabbat. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to start actually by making a couple announcements, and I may wind up repeating these at the end, but I figure I'll have the most people here right now, so I might as well make a couple announcements. First of all, I started out with this. I just wanted to send our heartfelt mazel tov to David Zaslowski, Tina McManama, on becoming grandparents. Their daughter Zoe Wheel gave birth to a wonderfully beautiful little girl in Birmingham on Tuesday. The best birthday present I could imagine. I now get to share my birthday with this little precious newborn. So mazel tov to David and Tina and Zoe. We will be doing, we're actually going to do a baby naming, but it'll be in Birmingham. I'm guessing this will also be online, so you'll be able to attend anyway, and it'll be in June sometime. I want to remind, there's a couple things. For those that came last week to hear our student cantor, Carl Sayers, Friday night went flawlessly. Saturday morning, we had a little problem. I forgot to change over the microphone. So anyone who wanted to hear Carl's Devar saw a lot of gestration, saw a lot of hand movements, but could not hear a word he said. So for those that would love to have heard what he had to say, you will get another chance. You will get another chance on Shavuot. Carl will be with us for Shavuot on June 5th or 6th. I can't remember what that Saturday is. And we welcome you to come. And he's going to do a repeat of that Devar. And it was a marvelous Devar, so you don't want to miss it. I want to remind everyone that next Wednesday evening at 5:30. We will celebrate the holiday of Purim. I know, it is March. It is getting to be spring. And so we will gather. Purim will be a hybrid event, both in person and online. I will be sending out the link on Monday so that everyone will have a chance to join us. Avas Chesed in Mobile is trying to get a nice in-person service going. So we will be joined by Mobile, Avas Chesed, Dothan, Auburn, and Montgomery, the same group that brings you Havdalah every week will bring you our virtual Purim celebration. And we invite you all to come in costume, whether you're in person or online. Wear a costume. It's Purim. It's fun. I also want to remind everyone that Sunday morning, I want all of you to set your clocks for 2 a.m. When the alarm goes off, remember to set your clocks forward. Change it to 3 a.m. Go back to sleep, but you better set your alarm for the Sunday morning, or else you're going to miss something that you just lost an hour for. So anyway, we do spring forward with the time. Just wanted to remind everyone of that. Let's see. I think that was it for now. I'll remember things as we go along. This week we begin a new book of the Torah, Sefer Vayikra, Leviticus, the first portion of which falls this year on what we call Shabbat Zachor. The Shabbat, it's the Shabbat of memory. It's the Shabbat before Purim. The Maftir Torah reading, the additional special reading for Shabbat Zachor from Deuteronomy, describes Amalek's attack on the Israelites after they crossed the Reed Sea. We read this passage just before Purim because Jewish tradition understands Haman, the anti-hero of the Megillah, the Book of Esther, as descendant from Amalek, the Jewish prototype for evil. The passage we read from Deuteronomy represents one of the Torah's great paradoxical teachings. In it, Moses admonishes the people and all future generations to remember and simultaneously eradicate the memory of Amalek. In Deuteronomy it says, "Remember what Amalek did to you when you were leaving Egypt, how he happened upon you by the way and struck those of you who were stragglers when you were tired and exhausted, and he did not revere God. When Adonai your God gives you respite from all the enemies around you in the land which Adonai your God gives you, wipe out the memory of Amalek. And under the heavens, do not forget." Yeah. Do not forget to forget. It's very paradoxical. Moses refers here to an incident in Exodus 17 at which Amalek attacks the newly freed Israelites. In that battle, Moses, assisted by Aaron and Hur, leads the Israelites to victory, following which God offers this enigmatic injunction. Adonai said to Moses, "Write this as a remembrance in the book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. What an interesting confusion of instructions. Don't forget. Don't remember to forget to remember. That and on this Shabbat Zachor, this Shabbat of the memory to forget, I think of two things. First, I think of Yom HaShoah, which comes up after a week after Passover ends. We have that enigmatic phrase, never forget. Never forget what happened during the Holocaust, because if we forget, then we're liable to repeat it. How true is that today in our world, where we can't believe what is going on? And in future generations, we will remember what is going on in Ukraine. This past Sunday, I had an opportunity to also participate in another memory, the memory of the march from Selma to Montgomery. I was invited to participate in the march and to bring a Torah, our symbol of our collective religious memory, and to participate in this march across the bridge where back in 1965, Martin Luther King, along with Abraham Joshua Heschel, and Ralph Abernathy, they carried a Torah across this bridge, Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. And here in 2022, Abraham Joshua Heschel's daughter, Dr. Susanna Heschel, was invited to participate in this bridge crossing, and I had the distinct honor of bringing the Torah that Dr. Heschel carried across the bridge. It was an amazing day because I got to meet not only Dr. Heschel, who I've met before, but I got to meet so many other people that were important during the Civil Rights era. Reverend Jesse Jackson was there, and I got to take a picture of Dr. Heschel with Jesse Jackson and his son Jonathan Jackson, who's running for Congress, I think, in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And the great Reverend William Barber as well, who is just such an inspiration for me to hear, this bigger than life individual who can inspire any group. I listened to him in a church in Selma. He gave a 35-minute talk. I will not speak that long. I don't think I could ever speak that long. But he had us all wrapped around what he was saying. And he was very gracious in acknowledging Dr. Susanna Heschel in the crowd. For me to be able to shake Reverend Barber's hand and take a picture with him, along with Dr. Heschel and Jesse Jackson, was just a delight. At this event, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke, and again, we got to take another picture with Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff, who we got to hold the Torah with Dr. Heschel. I was just thrilled to be there and to bring the symbol of our collective memory and a Torah that belongs to our synagogue, Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue, and what an honor it was. But I'm just, really faced with what it is that we're supposed to remember. We have to remember so that we don't repeat what it is we're trying to remember. If we never repeat it, then it'll be time to forget. But unfortunately, in this world we live in, it's almost impossible. We hope and pray we will never see another Holocaust, but something also very terrible is happening in Ukraine. Senseless killing of civilians, innocent civilians, bombs hitting maternity hospitals and killing children. Almost 2 million refugees have left Ukraine and made it across the border, most in Poland. We can only pray that the world never forget, and hopefully with our collective voices, this travesty will end soon. So on this Shabbat Zachor, this Shabbat of memory, let us all say collectively, never, never again. Shabbat Shalom. We will continue our service with Ma'ariv. We turn to page 39a. I ask everyone to rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'dvaroch. U'mahavir yom u'mevi laila, mavdil ben yom u'vein laila Adonai tzavot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu lam v'ed baruch et Adonai hamari v'aravim. Page 40. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam voed ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu u'va'em menege yomam v'layla v'avatcha tasim mimenu la'olamim. Baruch ato Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ho'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanetam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך, בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. והיה אם שמוע תשמעו מצותי אשר אנוכי מצוותיכם. ידכם וירדת ביניכם. ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטור אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תסגרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet, page 43a. Ve'emuno kozot v'kayam aleinu. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלהם משה ובני ישראל הנשירה בשמחה רבה וימלכו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדור בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה מלכותך ובניך בוקיים לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלות מיד החזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל page 45 השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום אמן ושמוצאתנו ואין לחיים ושלומייתה ויעל עולם ופעוש עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורץ סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We rise if you are able, page 46. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. We rise for the silent Amidah for Friday night, pages 47 through 52. מודים אנחנו לך. Use shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'maru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yase shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. We remain standing as the ark is opened for Aleinu. Page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gdula liotzer bereshit shalo asanu kugoye haratzot velo samanu kamishmachot hadama shalo sam b'chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim l'fnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim v'Yosed Haaretz, Moshav Yikara b'Shamayim Imahal, Shechinatu zo, Begavei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emet Malkeinu Evezulato, Kakatu b'Torato v'yadata hayam v'hashevota elavavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'yal haaretz mi tachat ein od al kein v'l Adonai leinu li rameh b'tivechnu zachar. Gagadu b'toratecha Adonai imloch le'lam vo'ed v'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom ma'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Echad. You may be seated. This week we will observe yard sites for Rose Bardach, Gary Zaslavsky, Rachel Jaffe, David Kulik, Harold Lichtenstein, and Anna Lee Litvak. And we add to those we're mourning for, as we heard on the sad news of the death of Mickey Looper, the mother of Rabbi Scott Looper of Temple Beth Or. I spoke to Rabbi Looper as soon as I heard the news to express our deepest condolences to him. There will be a funeral in Chicago on March 14th next week, and we mourn along with Rabbi Looper and the entire Temple Beth Or community. Those observing yard site and those who mourn, please rise, page 58, and join me for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash me rabba, bi'oma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv yimaru amen, yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kudisha b'richu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'yoma v'yimaru amen, yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. You may be seated. Thank you all for joining us, our family, our community, for Kabbalat Shabbat. I'm going to work backwards. I want to remind everyone that next Wednesday evening at 5:30 p.m. We will celebrate the holiday of Purim. This year, Purim will be a hybrid event, which means we'll be in person and online. The same group that brings you the Alabama Community Virtual Havdalah each week will be bringing you Purim. So I invite you to come into our sanctuary in costume or in your homes in costume. This will be a Zoom event, so we will all be able to see each other. And I do have a surprise. Our Chazan for the High Holidays, Charles Barron, will be joining us here in our shul. He will be on this bima celebrating Purim with us. So if you would like to see and meet the cantor, please, you're welcome to come into our shul next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. I'm also happy to announce that he will be accompanied not only by his daughter Sarit, but his wife Naomi will be joining him. Now, no, Naomi has never been to Agudath Israel or Etz Ahayem. In the 37 years, Chazan Charles has been our high holiday cantor. This is the first time that you'll be able to meet Naomi in person. So, and you'll get 3 opportunities to meet her, because Chazan Charles will also be joining us next Shabbat, next Friday night and Saturday morning. And Naomi and Sarit will be with us in our sanctuary. So please plan on coming and supporting your synagogue and our cantor. But I'd love to be able to have a nice minyan, so we can do a full Friday night service and a full Torah service on Saturday morning. So anyway, really, really exciting news. Okay, working back. This Sunday morning at 2 a.m., everybody set your alarm clocks to wake up at 2 a.m. and then set your clock for 3 a.m. And then go back to bed. But you better set your clock to wake up early Sunday morning, or you will be an hour late for anything that you have in the morning. We have actually our religious school, we have our virtual shlicha. Meitav Menachem is going to join us and teach our religious school children this Sunday about Purim. So it's going to that'll be a lot of fun. Saturday night, Havdalah. Please join us via Zoom at 7 p.m. The time change, because we have a time change, our Havdalah time will also change the following week, and we'll let you know about that. But for this Saturday night, 7 p.m., please join us. If you did not get the Zoom link, please email me at ravmalki@gmail.com, and that's ravmalki at gmail.com, and I will get you the link for Havdalah. On Monday, I will be sending out the link for Purim on next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. And of course, I'll be here tomorrow morning for Shabbat services at 9:30 a.m. I'm so glad there seemed to be a lot of people logged in tonight. I'm so happy about that. I wish you all a wonderful Shabbat Shalom. And we will conclude our service, page 211, with Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa, V'kefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yacharei Kichlota Kol, Levado Yimloch Nara Adon Olam, V'huaya v'huove v'huye b'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach b'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Liet Nasa v'chefso kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam V'hu echad v'yein sheni Laham shelo lahachbira Adon Olam Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Oz V'Misra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli, V'chai Goeli, V'tzorchev li B'yetzara Adon Olam, V'hu Nisi, Umanosli, Minat kosi biyom mekra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Biyado Afkid Ruchi, B'yetishan V'yaira Adon Olam, V'maruchi Gaviati, Adon Oli V'lo Ira Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom.